Redditors that have gone on Tinder dates, what was your worst and weirdest experiences? We went on 3 dates. The next time she asked to see me, I told her I was visiting family and wouldn't be available until the following weekend. In that moment, she freaked out and sent me a 7-page long text about how I destroyed what could have been a perfect relationship and that she wanted to marry me still if I would just put her first. She then left me a voicemail of her singing "You Got It Bad" by Usher while crying and saying she loved me over and over. 2 days later she sent me pictures of her burning a bucket list she had made for us. Glad I got out of that one unscathed. Perfectly nice date. 20 minutes into it, she says, "I'll be honest. I know what I need in a man, and you don't have it." At 25, I would have been crushed. Wondering what it was would have kept me up for days. Being 35, I thanked her for being blunt and was happy to have an unexpectedly free evening. Oh god, those evenings are the best, like when a friend cancels on you and you suddenly realize you can just order pizza and watch TV all night. Duck, yes. Right. So I was in Shanghai for work and decided to see what was happening on Tinder. I had to use a VPN to get around the Great Firewall. Anyway, matched with a girl and chatted briefly. She asked if I wanted to meet at her hotel for a drink. Alarm bells should have been ringing Willy. So I shower up, pop a breath mint, and smash out a Lucky Panda cigarette whilst flagging down a cab. I get to her hotel, and to my astonishment, she is the woman in the profile, waiting for me at the hotel bar. Have a few cocktails and things are going well. She's friendly, seems really into me. Then she asks if I want to go up to her room for some more drinks. Dear diary, jackpot. So we make our way upstairs, and she doesn't waste any time and jumps straight in. When all was said and done, I thought, right, time to do the Shanghai shuffle. So I'm putting my clothes on and about to leave, and she weighs, "What about my money, baby?" My heart sinks quicker than a mob snitch swimming in concrete boots. I ask her what she means. Not for free 3,000 RMB. She replies, which is just shy of $500. Duck me, I just routed a hooker. So a heated argument begins, and I'm planning my escape, lest there be a pimp waiting outside. She starts screaming at me, and hotel security arrive on the scene and hustle me down to the lobby. She follows in tow, demanding her money, screaming, yelling, making a scene. Everyone's looking. I've really hit rock bottom here. Then I see someone get out of a cab outside the hotel in trance. I gap it and leap into the cab, telling the driver to drive in the worst Chinese possible. I probably said something offensive, but the power of the almighty yuan saves the day, and he speeds off, taking me back to my hotel, where I can hit a bottle of scotch and reflect on what the actual duck just happened. My story. I posted this a while back in a thread about Tinder. It was a pretty spectacularly bad. I used it. I'm a fat ugly bastard. I matched with a girl who wasn't too shabby looking, texted for a few days until we were both off. I picked her up. She was very cute. Went to dinner at a Japanese steakhouse and had a good time. Drank some sake. She suggested we go back to my place. Woo. We stopped by her apartment to get her car, and she wants to get clothes. She follows me to my house and we make out in my driveway for a few and start to move towards the house. I'm excited. Gonna get laid and all, yes, been a while. So we are on my front porch, and she goes, what's that?" and points to this baseball sized toad that hangs out on my porch. This is his second year at there. Anyways, I explain he is cool, and I knock Beatles off my porch light for to eat and stuff. She walks over to him, looks at me like intense eye contact, and proceeded to slowly stomp on my toad. Now at this point I was experiencing several emotions: shock, anger, rage. I shouted at her, "WTF, why'd you do that?" to which she replied, "I wanted to make you mad, so you duck me hard." I was speechless while I processed what I had just witnessed. I told her to get the duck off my property. She flips out. We yell back and forth. I sprayed her with the hose and she finally leaves, only to show up 20 minutes later topless on my deck in the backyard. She had walked from down the road and pulled like 6 pickets down from my fence to get in the backyard. Cops came. She cried her way out of trouble with them and left. I met a girl for a date who turned out to be much better looking than her photos, which is always a nice surprise. The date went well, just dinner and a walk, and we said our goodbyes. The next day she invited me out to a friend's birthday party downtown as her +1. I wanted to go, but I had to work the next day and wanted to be able to drink a little since it was a bunch of people I didn't know. She said that's alright, you can park at my house and sleep over, chatting. So, of course, I said yes. Fast forward to the middle of the party, I'm enjoying myself chatting it up with her friends and having a good time, and next thing I know she absolutely loses it and storms out of the bar, leaving me there, drunk, with her friends. I still have no idea why. One of them told me she wants you to go after her, and I said duck that, it's our second date, which not a single person blamed me for. I stayed at the party and switched to water while I continued talking with her friends. That was over a year ago, and I still regularly hang out with them. They have since stopped talking to her. TL, Dr. No 6, but got to keep all her friends. I had an experience similar to this. I dated a girl for a year or so. She was insane. She would hit me, called the cops on me for insert any crime here, and would cheat on me because insert obscure scenario here. I stayed in the relationship because I fell in love with her family. Her sister, who was still in high school at the, would come home and talk to me about her fun gossip. Her sister's boyfriend, who is my best friend now, we would get high and play video games all day. Her two twin cousins would stick me into their tech projects, and her little cousin would make me play tea time with her. This was about 7 years ago, and they are all close to me. My ex, on the other hand, not a clue what she is up to. Went to see 50 Shades of Grey, got a blowy in the parking lot, got caught by a security guard on a Segway, ended up with chlamydia. I no longer Tinder. Edit. I didn't know that you could contract it that way either, yet a trip to the clinic proved it to me. Oh god. I have had several awkward Tinder dates. The worst was this guy who was 23 and had pretty much grown up on the computer. Usually don't mind guys having a gaming hobby. Any hobby is great as it shows you have a passion for something, but it should be a hobby, it shouldn't rule your life. Anyway, I offered to meet him at the uni we both attended to grab a coffee, but he insisted on going to the local shopping complex despite the fact that he didn't drive. No idea how he got there. He ended up being around 30 minutes late. Okay, I can deal with that. When we finally meet, he's so nervous he's shaking like a chihuahua and barely able to speak. I get it, first dates can be nerve-wracking. We sit down to sushi and there is absolute dead silence. I start asking him questions to start the conversation, but all I get is 2-word replies. Right, this is getting a bit more frustrating. Point, I even ask him questions about what games he likes. I do know a bit about games, but all I get is condescending answers. I'm starting to feel more like an interrogator than a date. Suddenly he perks up and goes, UHH, I have to go, there's a LAN party on. Okay mate, you're not feeling comfortable on this date, that's fine, even though you suggested it and you were so confident online, so we part ways. The kicker comes about 4:30 am the next morning. I'm working an overpass shift at Macca's and this group of guys come in. Chihuahua boys in the group, being a whole lot more confident. I get it, it's easier being social with friends. They walk in talking about pitches and how ducking fake gamer pitches ruined their LAN party. I wish I was making this up. He goes to order and doesn't realize it's me. They leave a huge mess behind. I'm talking purposely smearing ice cream on the table and chairs plus more, because it's the employee's job to clean up. The next afternoon I get a message from him asking if I'd like to meet up with him again. I politely said no. He called me a fat bitch, never saw him again. Met up for a coffee after having quite a nice chat over Tinder for a few days. He sits down and says, hey, nice to meet you, then continues to pull out his laptop and sit there in complete silence for the next hour. I had nothing with me but my phone, since I thought coffee date means conversation. Should left sooner. You sure it was the same guy? Seems like you just sat down with some guy at a coffee shop. Only ever went out with one guy I met on Tinder. He was a very popular hipster wire-age kid that didn't want to be rich dude, and I'm a borderline hood rat Latiner that grew up in a rough neighborhood. I didn't think we'd hit it off, but gave it a shot because he looked like Robert Downey Jr. with lots of tattoos. We ended up having a ton of similar interests, and one date became 2 became 3, and 1 month turned into 3 months. Eventually we broke up because he decided to take a job playing his guitar that would let him travel the world. Q 6 months of weird, but sweet and sappy, and sporadic, love letters, texts, and calls from different locations all over the world. We both ended up moving on with other people, but we still randomly like each other's photos on Instagram, and talk very occasionally. His band is playing at Lollapalooza, and he's doing very well for himself. It was the most random, but interesting and only Tinder experience ever. He made me watch his homemade rap videos, and tried to like his own FB page on my phone. This might have been the most painful one to read on here.